and I'm just going to wait for YouTube to notify my people that we're live. And then we can get into the procedure because we got a hard stop at 9 p.m. Eastern. So as soon as YouTube lets us know or lets you all know that we're live, I can do what I need to do and go from there. And I still have not been notified yet. YouTube being slow, of course, on a night where I need them to be prompt, they're being slow. But see, we got people in the chat. How you all doing? How are you all doing? We got El Jefe and Genosis and Max and 504. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? But yeah, YouTube is not gonna notify people tonight, huh? All right, this is ideal. This is very ideal. Well, this live stream has been scheduled, so they should know. If they don't know, that's on them. But we gotta go. So let me get into the introduction. Bring in my man, and we will go from there. So tonight, I am bringing in one of the most smooth cats in the tech space. They call him Mr. Mobile. That's right. Michael Fisher is coming up next on VypDrive, episode 54, which starts now. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, and welcome back to another episode of VypDrive. This is the podcast about tech, hosted by the man about tech, and we don't have any time tonight to waste. So let me bring in one of the smoothest cats with the best voices in all of tech YouTube. Mr. Mobile himself, Michael Fisher, is on the podcast. What's up, bro? How you doing?
Viper, I'm doing very well, thank you. There's no way in hell I can live up to that intro, but I'm sure going to try. I will say this: I was out of uniform when I showed up backstage, though. But I think can I do this?
You can do that.
Yeah. Oh,
put on
man.
the shades. Put on the shades.
No.
Oh,
No,
you are an official now. You are officially official now. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Thank you for having me on board, man. I'm really excited.
Thank you for joining me. So before we get into CS and all the good stuff that you saw, I saw your recap video and everything like that.
Yeah.
I got to talk to you about a story that my man Jason from Painfully Honest Tech told me last night on the podcast. So he said that you were sitting in a car rage listening to his video about the Motorola Razr. So you got to tell me about what was your thought process as you were watching that video, because he went hard on the Razr pretty good. And I know how you're a big fan of foldables and foldable tech. So
absolutely. Yeah. No. I was coming from I was house sitting for my mother. I was out in the country and I was getting into a pickup truck and going to drive somewhere else. And I think it showed up in my sub box, and it was an inflammatory headline too, as I recall. And I was like, man, you're going to make me click on this, right? I'm going to give you this. All right, fine, Jason, let's see what you got. And it just starts can I swear on this podcast, Viper?
Go ahead.
Keep it clean. He just starts just shitting all over it. But not just the Razr. Like, I understand if you're not down with the Razr 22. First Razr was one of the worst artifacts of pop culture history. And I was like, and so I said to him in Vegas, we were in the middle of something. I was having a cigar. I was at the Future Tech Awards party. I was sort of coming down off a speech. And I was like, it's great to see you, man. I want to get back to our conversation. By the way, you're 100% wrong about the Razr. So we're going to get...
Well, I mean, my only issue, Michael, well, I got a couple, but the main issue is that there's not much more to it other than the fact that it folds. I mean, yes, it's cool that it folds out to 6.2 inches. Yes, it's cool that it has the old Moto Razr form factor, which brings back that nostalgia. I mean, hell, they even have a retro mode on the phone that makes it look like the old time Razr with the dial pad. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, it's awesome.
You're talking about a $1,500 device, and basically the whole premise of it is how it folds. I just don't. I mean, I know it'll sell on nostalgia alone, but other than the folding, what else is it bringing to the table?
Here's the thing. If you said in 2018, hey, look at that Xperia 1, or 2017, look at that Xperia XZ Premium you got in your hand with its 6 point whatever inch screen. If you could fold that in half on it, across the Y-axis and make it half the size, would that be cool? Like 98% of people would be like, yeah, I'd love that. I'd love something smaller in my pocket. That sounds great. I think because Motorola rolls it out and it has a lot of compromises on the spec side, and because it's very obviously meant to capture this like premium fashion market, this, the people who want to make a statement and blend all that with nostalgia, you've got a lot of noise in the conversation. You've got a lot of avenues and side streets that you can sort of travel down when you're talking about this product. But at the end of the day, it's a 6.2 inch phone that you can fold in half so that it takes up less space in your pocket. For people like you and me who have a lot of, I mean, I don't buy a garment with less than 17 pockets, so it's not that big a deal for me, right? But for people who like the summertime and you have a very reduced number of pockets, or if you're a lady or someone who wears really like tight clothing or clothing that doesn't have a lot of pockets in it at all, that's going to be a major win. Maybe not the razor specifically, but the whole product category that follows. So I'm looking forward to seeing more foldables, and I'm very excited to say that I think we are going to see a lot more in the
Yeah,
coming years.
I was looking at all the CES coverage, and TCL had a foldable. The Moto Razr was at CES.
Yep.
Also, we know that Samsung is going to introduce their Galaxy Fold Z clamshell foldable next month.
Right.
So you own the current Galaxy Fold though. So I know
do.
you use it a lot when you're at press events and things like that.
Yeah.
But how long have you had that so far?
I think I bought it like New Year's Day,
Okay.
or the day after New Year's Day. I was laying in bed. It was 3 a.m. I think I was tweeting during this, and I was like, it incensed me that Samsung took back all the review devices, not because companies shouldn't take back review devices. That's perfectly within their right to do it. But it was the first review device. Samsung had really been vehement about saying, you're going to send this back, and it's going to be a 30-day strict thing. And when I started to wonder why that was, I can't say this is a fact, but it seemed to me that if I were Samsung, I would want to get all those devices off the street before more of them started breaking. Because you saw some of the coverage, right? You
Right.
saw some of the things where the screens started having these broken pixels, and the units started failing in the field. And if I were Samsung, I would have wanted to get them all right off the street. And some people think those units were flipped and sent to other reviewers. I think Samsung probably destroyed them, or at least if I were Samsung, that's what I would have done. And I just didn't think that was fair. I want to be able to know if I'm going to spend $2,000 on this thing, how long it will last. So someone like me and Max and Nirav and a couple of people we know have them as well. People like us with an audience and the ability to tell people how long it really lasts under real world conditions should have them. So whether I can expense it or not, I'm just going to buy it. So that's what I did at like 3 a.m. And I woke up the next day. I was like, oh man, what did I do? So I walked over to Best Buy and I saw if I would regret it, and I picked it up. And I haven't regretted it since. It's just so useful.
Yeah, I've seen your tweets on Twitter about it, and it seems like you're in love with the Galaxy Fold, man. Legitimately.
I am, and I recognize, like, everyone who asks me at an airport, and everyone, when you walk around with a Fold, everyone asks you about it. You can't avoid people talking to you, which is great because I like talking about phones all the time. And everyone who's asked, would you recommend it? And I'm like, no, I love it. It's very useful for me, but you shouldn't spend $2,000 on something that you're not willing to take to the beach because it's too fragile. Like you shouldn't spend $2,000 on something where, like, to close it, you have to be very ginger, and you kind of have to give people all kinds of disclaimers before they touch it. But I love it. I don't think people should buy it. I'm looking forward to the sequels.
Yep. So like I think like I said a minute ago, Samsung's Unpacked event is next month, and there's rumored that they're going to be unveiling a lower tier version of the Galaxy Fold. They're going to be unveiling a clamshell version of it. So what are your thoughts on that potential device?
Yeah, it reminds me of actually 2006 when the first, and this isn't a perfect analogy, but when the first Moto Razr came out, you remember how all of a sudden everybody started aping that form factor, where it was like, let's build really, really thin clamshells. And Samsung came out with the device that I carried because I was on Sprint and I couldn't get the Razr, and it was the Samsung A500. And it was like a Razr clone, but without any of the character. It was just very minimalist, but
Right.
of course, many more features and a much better screen and all that. I expect this to be almost exactly the same thing. A Moto Razr without as much of the style, because it just seems to be a rectangle, but probably a lot fewer spec compromises. And we'll see how the screen is, But
Right.
I'm excited to see what it is. I don't know if I should be excited for the product itself yet. What about you?
It's interesting because they are rumored to undercut the Razr, because when the Razr comes out, right now the Moto Razr has been indefinitely delayed, so we don't know when that's coming. But
Right.
when it does come out, it's rumored to be around $1,500. But it is rumored that the Samsung Fold, the clamshell version, will be around $800-900. So they're going to seriously undercut the Razr.
Man.
And like you said, it's probably going to have less compromises than features and specs. And It's gonna make it very tough for Moto to sell Razr if that is the case.
I don't know if it is. I really don't. I mean, I think Samsung's gonna move a ton of those, don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But I don't think Motorola is gonna have trouble shipping the Razr. I think the buzz around that device is so hot, it's so significant, and I think Verizon is gonna push it so
Oh,
hard
yeah.
that, I don't think they're gonna have trouble shipping units. I think they're gonna be selling out regularly,
What
but we'll see.
what do you think about them only releasing their Moto Razr for Verizon? I mean, wouldn't it like, why aren't they releasing it to more carriers?
I don't like it. Certainly, I like more consumer choice. Personally speaking, I'm a T-Mobile customer. It's gonna be a real annoying thing if I can't get that eSIM activated on T-Mobile. Uh, I think we'll get past those growing pains. But, it's always about the money, right? I mean, if you're Motorola and Verizon, the largest carrier in the United States, um, is offering you an opportunity to put that phone in front of that largest audience in the country,
Mhm.
and they're demanding exclusivity for it, I don't think you say no to that. Then again, I don't know. It could be exactly the opposite. For all I know, I just know if I were Motorola and I didn't have to lock my phone down to one carrier, I wouldn't. So there's reasons they're doing that. Their business reasons is probably just somebody's backing up truckfuls of money. I just don't know who and where.
I would imagine so, and I'm guessing it's probably Verizon. I think I believe the first Moto Razr I think might have been a Verizon exclusive if I remember correctly. So,
No, it was a
you know,
singular exclusive.
okay, okay.
Yeah, which later became AT&T,
Mhm.
because it was a big deal when it finally came to CDMA and, "Oh, well, Verizon get it. Now
Right.
now it's
Okay.
Sprint can get it. Now Alltel." Yeah,
All right. So I got it. I got an interesting question for you.
hit me.
So in tech YouTube, there are two people that come to the top of our mind when we talk about voice. There's Mr. Mobile Michael Fisher,
Thanks.
and there's Aaron, Mr. Who's the Boss.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say Zach, but oh, absolutely, yeah. Oh, Aaron, 100%, yes.
Oh man. So what are your thoughts on this?
What are my thoughts? I'm glad to be one of the 2, certainly. I sure like using my instrument. Aaron's really fun because he was talking recently. We were talking about this. We were standing in a circle and talking YouTube stuff, and someone was brought up Aaron's voice, and he was like, "Yeah, it's rather. I know it sounds rather posh. People say, and I say, you should hear my dad." And it's all very. I was just like, "No, oh, just keep talking." I did, I don't dislike Aaron, but even if I did, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to for long because that's a very seductive voice.
Yeah, he definitely seems like a pretty cool dude. And from what I hear, his voice is definitely legit. When you hear it in person, it's just like the video, from what I hear. So, absolutely.
Yeah, but like me, like when you hear it in person, it's not, you're not right on top of a
Right.
$1,000 microphone.
Hmm.
It's a very different thing.
Oh,
Plus, I have
absolutely.
to put mine through treble and a couple filters to get it to cut through the music.
Hmm.
Um, Credit where it's due. I hung out at CES, and I was sitting across from Hayato Huseman, who sometimes edits my stuff for. He works at Android Central, and I was like, Hayato, can you help me cut out some of this background that we just shot on this A roll? And he popped open a bunch of panels I didn't even know existed in Final Cut and was tweaking all these like skeuomorphic knobs and stuff. And I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to understand this. I'm just going to, you know what? Treble boost. That's all I'm doing.
I completely understand, man. There's a bunch of stuff in Final Cut I'm not aware of and don't know about, but hey, I just get my usual editing done and I go on with it.
Exactly, man.
Definitely. So, at the Future Tech Awards out there in Vegas, you had a very interesting experience, I would imagine. You got to present an award to Marquette Brownlee. So, talk about that. Talk about
Damn
your
right.
experience doing that.
It was really cool. I've known Marquez since 2012. And we were inducting him into the Future Hall of Fame, which is this newly formed kind of, well, it's a Hall of Fame, right? For
Hmm.
people who've driven the industry forward. Other winners were inside the industry, where with companies that make products for the industry. He was the only, I believe, journalist or YouTube personality in the Hall of Fame, and still is right now. So anyway, I got to present him this award, and it was great. We had some I had to cut down my speech. It was gonna be about 2 minutes long, and I wanted it to be longer, but I had to cut it back because we were running a little long, yada, yada, yada. I kind of wish I hadn't had to do that because I really wanted to say the whole thing, but ultimately, I got to say what I mean, which is, look, if you know anyone in this industry, you meet all types. You meet folks who are pompous and bullheaded and fickle or clueless, and then you meet some of the best people, some of the most creative, and some of the most warm and authentic. Marquez is in the latter camp. I mean, very few people deserve the amount of success he has gotten as much as he does. If I could give him an award twice a year for the next 20 years, I would love to do that because, the guy's great.
He is. He's been nothing but cool to me. I've had him on here a couple of times, and he's been nice. I mean, I've never met him in person, but I can only imagine that he's the same way person that he is throughout the digitals and things like that. So he is definitely legit.
100%. Yeah. I really like the guy.
So you went out to you were out at CES. I watched your recap video. You powered by Mercedes and all that good stuff. Yeah. So Mercedes had the Avatar.
That's right.
But did you get a chance to see the Sony electric car that they unveiled?
No, see, I had only heard about it. It wasn't my intention to cover every car at CES because CES is so huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to pick and choose what you're going to cover. And you know me, I do car videos, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. It's very clearly like a hobby and not my principal beat. So because Mercedes was bringing me out there, I knew I was going to be covering their concept. And I only learned of the Sony car after it had been revealed, because not to get too far into this, but Sony has never been the greatest at communicating with from its mobile side. And as a result, I haven't gotten to know the rest of the company too much. We're changing that this year, but I didn't get to see the Sony or the LG cars in depth. What did you think of the Sony car? I'm interested.
I was shocked.
Were you?
I had no idea they were working on an electric car. Then when they rolled it out, I'm like, what in the world? I mean, it looks good. I mean, it's only a concept, so it's never coming to market, but it looked good.
Yeah, it did look good. And that's the thing. It's a concept, just like the Avatar, right?
Right.
It's like, I forgot who said it. I quoted him in my video, but it's like the CES should be called the Concept Expo show because it's like so many things that will never come to market. They're just built to advance conversations in the industry and frankly to help companies sell a marketing message. So I get a little frustrated with concepts, but when they're as cool as the Mercedes was, they flew me there. So like, I don't have to say this, but I get it if you're skeptical, but just take one look at that thing and it's like, oh my God.
No,
when it rolled out on stage, I was like, oh my God, whoa. Because I didn't get an early look at it.
No, that car was, I mean, did you get a chance to get inside of it at all?
I did not sit inside the car. I sat inside the simulator that they had where they had the cockpit mock-up. I sat inside that earlier in the day. So you put your hand on that, the haptic hump.
Right.
And it's like the car, it kind of feels like this, you strip the shell off a turtle and you just have your hand on his body and it's breathing, it's like, it's weird. Yeah, it's bizarre. But what a monster of a car. And I could have watched those flaps on the back just do their thing all day long.
Little scaly thing that looked kind of crazy. Yeah, that is definitely a concept. If I heard correctly, it was only street legal on that vacant street, whatever street it was on. That was it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no side view mirrors. There's no, you can't see out the back. It's not. That's the problem with concept cars. They look amazing and they're incredible, and you're like, well, why don't they actually build this? Oh, it's totally illegal and very unsafe. Oh, that's why. Okay.
So, gotta ask you, any chance you're coming to Chicago for the auto show?
No, I will not. I've thought about it. When is that?
February 8th through the 17th.
No, I may be in Chicago for some other reasons sometime soon, but we'll see. When
you do that, could you let me know? Give me a heads up.
I sure would like to. Yeah, absolutely. If I'm there for any amount of time, I would like to get a coffee or something more potent.
All right.
Such as a 5-hour energy.
5-hour energy.
Let's get that vitamin B.
So you've done coverage on this. I've done coverage on this, but 5G is here or not here, depending on how you look at it. We know Verizon has the multi-millimeter wave technology that if you sneeze, you lose signal.
Yeah.
T-Mobile has their whole nationwide 5G that they're practically using on top of existing spectrum and things like that. What are your thoughts on 5G? I saw your T-Mobile video. You were very in-depth and detailed about that, but what are your overall thoughts on 5G and where it's at now and where it will be maybe by the end of the year?
5G matters an awful lot to the future of the industry. If you are a consumer spending money today, though, or frankly, for most of the rest of this year, with very few exceptions, you don't need to worry about it. It's look, it's amazing because I remember the jump from 3G to 4G being this real, instantly recognizable paradigm shift. The first time I held an LTE phone and downloaded an app in like, I felt like the phone started installing the app right after I pressed the download button. Like it was unbelievably fast compared to what I'd been stuck on with HSPA or EVDO. And 5G just, like you say, you use Verizon's and yeah, you get, I mean, it's demonstrably fast, but none of the infrastructure is ready for it. The Google Play Store still throttles you. Like we had to use the Samsung Galaxy Store to download apps at faster speeds because the Play Store wasn't, it's like the most confusing thing about 5G to me is that the companies felt the need to race each other to it. And as a result, they felt the need to just advertise it before it was ready. Both times I saw the Verizon stuff, I was like, no, you shouldn't get this. This is dumb. You should not buy a phone based on this. When I used the T-Mobile one, I was like, oh, wow, you really can use it in a lot of places. But in the best case scenario, this low band is only going to be 20% faster, 20% faster than 4G. And that's best case. So you shouldn't have run out to buy that either. So why is anyone trying to sell this right now? Build it and then sell it when it's ready. I don't understand. And I've asked everyone that and they don't have an answer.
I feel the same way you do. I don't know why they're rushing out to advertise 5G when we don't have a really actual infrastructure in place to even take advantage of it. Like,
yeah.
Like you said, the Verizon multimeter waves, I mean, they can't even penetrate walls. The signal doesn't even last. You can cross the street and lose signal with multimeter waves.
And penetrate leaves.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got Sprint T-Mobile with this low band stuff, which is basically souped up 4G. It's not even 5G. And it's like, what are we talking about here?
And what's crazy, what sucks is what gets lost in this is like, and it's important because there's no way to preserve nuance on the internet anymore. So I want to be clear. 5G is super important. It is what the future will be built on. It's going to enable an entire new swath of connected devices. It's going to do so many great things, but only once it's had the build out necessary to make it work right. And it just isn't there right now. So why are you selling it? Why are you amping it up? I don't get it. And every time my organic 5G coverage, I'm kind of like, if there's a new angle on this, I want to stay on top of it. I'm interested. I'll report on it. But if any sponsors come around, as they do, and people involved in the industry, and they want to sponsor videos, and they say, well, we really want to highlight our 5G stuff. I'm like, I have no interest in talking about that because you shouldn't be selling this yet. You shouldn't be hyping people up. And then, as Qualcomm did at the Snapdragon Summit, not Qualcomm, excuse me, Verizon did at the Snapdragon Summit say that at the Qualcomm Snapdragon Summit say, oh yeah, remember when we had a bunch of naysayers about millimeter wave? Go ask them to turn on their 5G phones on the beach down there. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do you know? You can still use it here and then not 3 inches over here. Like, guys, there's a place for. Speaking of Verizon, are you doing that commercial?
Don't know. I'm supposed to have an interview on Saturday, so we'll see what happens with that.
I hope it goes well, man. Maybe don't play him this until after you're cast.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Listen, man, there's awesome people over at Verizon. I love them to death, but I feel the same way you do. Their 5G network, it's not ready yet. It's not ready for prime time at all.
Yeah, let's be clear. I mean, I'm confused about the strategic decisions, and I'm no way saying that a lot of people will be like, how have they not figured this out? And it's like, these are really hard challenges to solve. All of this is very difficult to do. My confusion lies with the timing. Why people felt it necessary to start selling this stuff last year.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right, so we got a few of our friends in the chat. I know Zach Talk Tech dropped the super chat earlier. Thank you, Zach. Michael, Zach. I think you.
Of course. Yeah.
When he showed his picture at CES when he bust out the Mr. Mobile vest, I'm like, "What are you, Mr. Mobile Jr.? What is going on here?"
That was awesome. It was a good vest.
That was awesome. And we got Renee Ritchie out there. Hey, Renee.
Renee's here. Oh,
Renee is here. Yeah. Thank you,
Renee.
Renee.
I didn't even load that tab yet. All right. Hi.
It's okay. And we got my man Eric from ET Computer Solutions. Thank you, Eric. Eric is going to be going live on his live stream at 8 p.m. Central. So make sure you guys tune on to his channel after we're done here. But I don't know. I mean, I love the fact that we are at 5G. We are here. We're trying to build it out, but like I said, I agree with you. We're not quite there yet. Yeah. But a more plausible area that we are at, or it seems like we have arrived in the foldable department. Like I said earlier, TCL is bringing out their foldable. Samsung is bringing out their Galaxy Fold clamshell, but they're also working on the successor, the true successor to the Galaxy Fold. We know that Microsoft is bringing out the Surface Duo at some point this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, Michael, it seems like foldables are here, man.
Foldables are certainly on the roadmap. Now, I am excited about them personally. I think most people will be once they actually start to use them. I think some people already are, and I mean normal people. As I say, you can't carry the Fold around without people asking you what that is and asking you all about it afterwards. But I think it's important to, like with the 5G conversation, it's important to recognize when you should actually drop your money on this stuff. To date, no foldable phone has hit the market on time yet. They've all
Correct.
been delayed, right? And
Yep.
of course, we know what happened to the Fold. Razer, as you said, is indefinitely. Motorola said shouldn't be a significant delay, but we're coming up on the end of January. I'm still waiting to hear about that. Then we've got Lenovo. This isn't a phone, but Lenovo X1 Fold.
Right.
They didn't announce a timetable for it, so they're not late yet. We'll see. We'll see if midsummer 2020 goes by and it's still not out. But if foldables are really hard to implement, I think they're going to be very expensive for this year and probably next. But once they hit a point where normal people can start to afford them and without, just feeling the raw pain of an empty bank account or a massive credit card bill, they're going to be it. I mean, it's going to be rarer and rarer, I think, to find non-folding phones just because you can do so much more with them.
Yeah. Like I said, I talked about earlier how I didn't really see much practicality with the Moto Razr foldable, but I know the Galaxy Fold allows you to run 3 apps at once in fully folded out and things like that. You got cameras on the inside, cameras on the outside. So as much as I bang on the Galaxy Fold for durability issues, the feature set and the tech in the Galaxy Fold is actually legit. And if that's where Samsung is starting at, as they work on the successor to the Fold, it is going to be a bright future for the Galaxy Fold and foldables moving forward. I was a big fan of the Huawei design, even though it's kind of walking out over there in China and things like that. But I just thought it looked kind of sleek and everything. And I mean, we don't know what Huawei's going to do with their successor to the Mate X, but
yeah, we were talking about it the other day here in the studio because I share a studio with Michael Josh and David Kogan and David Amell and Jaime Rivera, and we were like, "Do you guys can we find one of those on eBay? Can we just tired of Huawei? We're waiting on Huawei to send us one, so can we just buy one?" And like the one we found on eBay, the Huawei Mate X was like $9,000.
Oh
like, man, no. We'll just wait and see if they send us one.
That's rough. That's rough.
Yeah, Michael Pepper Tech Talk in the chat it's like the Mate X is more exciting design wise for me, and I hear that a lot, Viper. Like it's stunning to hold and to unfold and to look at, but I gotta say, I think screen on the outside, until we get a better display protection technology, it's a losing. It is not the way to go. That thing is going to be scratched from day one unless you keep it in the case all the time.
Yeah, I agree. I'm one of the people that think that the Mate X is sexier in design than the Galaxy Fold. But like you said, the Fold, at least it protects the screen because it folds in. Exactly. And the Mate X folds out and the screen gets all types of exposed to dirt, dust, scratches, whatever. And then, I mean, for as good as it looks design-wise, it's not the most practical use of the Fold. I mean, what are you doing?
I know. I love being able to close the Fold and know that I've hidden away the most important and the most fragile component of the whole phone.
There you go.
When it's closed, it's like, okay, you're safe as long as I don't get any sand in there.
So me and you talked about almost a year ago now on this live stream, and I was telling you about how I wasn't really excited for technology in 2019, and you were like, I don't think that's the right way to look about it. And you happen to be right, because even though I was kind of like on technology and things coming, 2019 ended up being a very good year for tech. So we're here again in 2020, Michael. What are you looking forward to most in tech this year?
Yeah, if it folds, I'm jazzed about it. I think there's a lot coming in the door that's variations of what we've seen so far. Of course, tech is going to evolve. We've got the photos we've seen leaked of Galaxy S20. Of course, it's going to be another rectangle with more cameras, right?
Right.
Same with what we've seen leaked from what Xiaomi. Some of the bigger brands we're all familiar with hearing. OnePlus even with their concept phone.
Right.
Interesting stuff. but again, yet a rectangle. I was surprised. I was expecting them to, if they called something a concept phone, I was expecting them to have a foldable as well.
Right.
So for me, anything that defies that, anything that flies in the face of that, I'm excited by. In years past, we thought for a second, maybe, I don't know if any of us really thought it, maybe I hoped it, that keyboards would make a comeback. Maybe there would be a little bit more variety and form factors because we would bring back physical keys or eliminate some physical keys and put some other in to make a wraparound thing. But I really think the big hardware evolution is going to be with folding displays, and that goes to the PCs as well. Like I had so many people on my Lenovo X1 Fold videos in the comments saying foldables make more sense on PCs because you can do a lot more with that thing. That thing's a book, or it's a laptop, or it's a tablet, you stand up. It's got its own keyboard. The keyboard goes inside. It charges when it's like this beautifully thought out piece of hardware, and you couldn't do it without folding technology. So I'm all in on that stuff. I'm excited by it. I'm jazzed. What has you stoked? Because you just call me Mr. Foldable. I just won't stop talking about it. So what are you stoked about?
Well, like I said, last year I was kind of bullish on foldable phones, but it seems like they are here to stay in 2020. So I'm kind of excited to see where these manufacturers take them, because we know Samsung is coming out with the successor to the Galaxy Fold, so that'll be interesting. TCL, which absolutely wrecked shop at CES, they got their foldable in the wings, and then Motorola coming out the Razr. So I'm kind of interested to see what happens with these foldable devices.
Same. Yeah. Were you interested in the other TCL stuff at CES?
The TV, that micro LED TV that I saw, holy Lord, their TVs look legit, and their phones, they are coming out with $500 to $600 5G phones. Well, at least one of them is going to be 5G, but they're all under $600. So I am definitely interested in those TCL phones for sure.
Yeah, it's an interesting value play. I was looking at those while they were showing us the foldable prototype as well, and I was like, to no one's surprise, I was more interested in the foldable. But it seemed to me that TCL, the phone strategy is sort of not proven yet. Yeah, it is exciting to have phones that have the features that they're promising at those price points, but I feel like they lack the cool factor that OnePlus has. I feel like they lack the really smashing value that something like a Poco phone has, or an Asus Zenfone 6. And it kind of feels, I said this in the briefing too, it kind of feels a little like an LG play, and they're not doing so great. So I'm much more excited for TCL's foldable concepts, which really are game-changing, paradigm-shifting stuff, like wallet shapes and wrist slap bracelet kind of things, and this crazy. They have this crazy division of the company, and then they have a division of the company that's kind of like, yeah, okay, guys, that's great, but learn how to put a battery in it. In the meantime, we have to ship these phones, So I don't know. That's the impression that I get. Hopefully, we'll see something exciting at MWC.
Yeah. I don't know, Michael. It seems like TCL packing some crucial display technology in those $500 phones. So I think they might be more of a force to reckon with than what you realize. I don't know.
No. I mean, like, when was the last time you heard someone say, like, "Oh man, I love this phone, but the display, it's not that great," unless they bought $100 LG phone. Like, I feel like normal people can't.
Normal people don't care. No.
Yeah, well, this is a broad generalization, I understand, but most normal people are like, yeah, I think the displays are good enough. I don't think you can sell a phone just on like, it has a separate display controller, because most people are just like, oh, okay, well, it's got kind of an ugly hole punch, and it's I don't care, it doesn't really look like anything. So,
So it's funny that we talk about displays, because on Twitter it was revealed yesterday or the day before yesterday that OnePlus is bringing their OnePlus 8 with a 2K resolution, 120 hertz refresh rate display. Now, it was also put out on Twitter by top Samsung insider Ice Universe that Samsung would not be bringing that similar tech to their Galaxy phones this year. The Galaxy phones are going to have a 120 hertz refresh rate, but they can't operate that with that refresh rate at 2K display. If you use the 120 hertz on the Galaxy phones, it will automatically revert back to a 1080p display. So I've been asking everybody on Twitter, and I guess I'll ask you too, why is it that Samsung can bring that technology to OnePlus? Because we know Samsung makes the OnePlus displays, but they won't even bring that own technology to their own device. And so I'm still kind of confused, but I got a few good explanations, but I'm interested to get your thoughts on this.
I'm going to give you a real answer, and I'm going to give you a kind of a troll answer. And the troll answer I'll do first.
Let's go.
You know my favorite thing about foldable phones?
Mm-hmm.
They've made the industry exciting enough again that I don't have to have conversations about refresh rates and resolutions on boring old rectangles. I just don't care. I mean, right? Like I know when 90 hertz displays became a thing, I was like, oh, cool. When Razer did 120 hertz in the first place, I was like, yes, 100%. This is what things need to be. I get it. It's exciting. It's fine. Again, most people, take someone's Samsung phone, flagship phone, change the resolution. Most people can't tell the damn difference. I'm telling you.
You're correct.
But if you're looking for it, of course you can tell the difference. But you do that, you do that either because you really have great eyesight and you want to be very proud of your device, or you do it so you can impress your friends. And that's all fine, but it's not terribly interesting to me. You ask a great question, and I don't know if Samsung is making panels for OnePlus phones, why not be able to match them point for point in terms of features and performance? And you know what, man? I think it's just a matter of Samsung builds displays for a lot of people, and the customer chooses what's important. OnePlus is a company that sells to a customer base that cares about many of those specs and much of that performance. And I think Samsung sells to a more mainstream audience, and it probably has made a tactical decision that, we don't need to emphasize that particular capability. We're going to put our energy elsewhere when we make this display, like in color accuracy or off-axis viewing or something. You know what I mean? That's my guess.
Right. No, I think that's pretty much what most people have told me. They told me that Samsung doesn't really prioritize that type of tech like OnePlus does. Plus, Samsung might be trying to save on some battery life too, so that might be another reason why they're not doing it. But
sure,
I just find it very intriguing and interesting that OnePlus can run that tech on their phone, but Samsung, who makes the damn display, won't run it on their phone. I'm like, what is this?
But we have him in the chat, but Renee Ritchie is the one who opened my eyes to that like two years ago when there was some flap. Everyone was doing the typical Apple versus Samsung pissing match, and people were saying was like, well, the only reason the iPhone got to be that good looking is because Samsung made the display. And Renee's point was just like, yeah, Samsung makes the displays for a lot of people. Displays are made by a lot of companies. These are component manufacturers. It's not a matter of like they're making them to Apple's specifications because Apple's their customer. So you have the specifications provider to thank, not the manufacturing expertise, or at least not entirely. And I'm like, yeah, what do you know? There's a lot of layers to this stuff. There's nuance. It's not just about winning internet arguments on Twitter.
Yeah, I find it funny how our buddy Travis MCP talking about brand loyalty and people having misplaced brand loyalty. Like these Travis. Manufacturers don't care about people arguing in YouTube comment sections about display resolutions and this, that, and the other. They don't care. They're just trying to put out whatever makes them the most profit and go from there. That's what they're trying to do.
Absolutely.
All right, so I want to kind of change gears a little bit. I know you're more of an Android person than an iPhone and iOS person, but it's hard to ignore what's going on with the FBI and Apple. Are you aware of what's happening or has been happening?
Yeah, with the Pensacola shooter thing and it's basically a redux of what happened in California.
Correct.
2 years
ago.
So
I'm interested to get your take on where you fall on this side of the debate. Do you feel like Apple should be more helpful with the FBI, or do you feel like, I think most people do, that there's no way in hell the FBI should be given a backdoor into iOS?
It's tough, right? Because in a situation like this, your knee-jerk reaction is to say something horrible happened. It sure would be great to prevent those things from happening. So if we can do that by getting more information, why don't we do that? I get why people have that perspective. I tend to fall on the other side of the fence most of the time because we live in an era of privacy erosion already. We live in an era of dangerous precedents and in a time when Apple is kind of one of the last companies that has built a strategy around keeping your data safe and respecting your privacy. Yes, that was the no-duh strategic move for them, with Google being like, we're the company that gives you way smart things, but you have to give us access to all of your data. So it makes sense from a tactical perspective for Apple to take the opposite tack, but also Apple sells more than half the smartphones in the United States. It's great that a company of that size is, even if it's to make money, saying we're going to protect your data. And if the government comes after us and asks us for things that we don't think they need to know, well, then we're not going to cooperate. I think I admire that. I do. Apple annoys me in a lot of ways. I don't, but this is a move of theirs that I can respect. And just a little disclaimer: I'm not as well read on this as I could be, because sadly, I feel like I made that decision with the California incident, and when this happened, I was like, well, I don't think my position has really changed much. But you know, are you in the same boat?
Yes, I made a whole entire video about this, and I'm just of the mindset that there are over 1 billion Apple device owners out there. There is no way in hell that there should be a backdoor out there that could compromise all those iPhones to sacrifice all of our privacy and security to trying to get one terrorist. I've had talk with a bunch of people about this. I understand where some people fall on, or this guy shot servicemen and things like that. He shouldn't have the right to privacy on his cell phone, this, that, and the other. And I completely, wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment. But on the other side, if you're talking about sacrificing, or if you're talking about sacrificing the privacy and security of 1 billion people, not to mention it becomes a national security issue in the fight of trying to get one terrorist or getting inside of one terrorist phone. No.
Yeah,
we gotta protect the many and not just try to go after one person.
yeah. It's a difficult question. It's a good debate to have, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So before we start now, you said you were using a $1,000 microphone. Did I hear you right?
Yeah, sorry, that's not a flex. I
I thought I'm like, no.
I have to reference this mic a lot because typically I'll be doing a phone review video or a laptop review video. I still have to do this MacBook Pro 16 video, and one of its big selling points is this awesome microphone array.
Right.
So I frequently have to cite this microphone, which is my studio mic that I use for all my VO, and it's an AKG C414 XLS. And the only reason I knew how to buy it was because in 2016, when we started this channel, I called up Juan Carlos Bagnell and I said, "Hey, man, I don't know anything about microphones, even though I've been doing voiceover for a long time. You need to help me." And he was like, "If you have the budget for it, get this microphone. It's the best for what you..." And dude, for 4 years, it has treated me brilliantly. I love this piece of gear. I really do.
Hey, man, sounds pretty damn good, no doubt.
Yeah.
So
AKG, thank you. Go ahead.
So speaking of voiceovers, most of your content, or at least most of the content on YouTube of yours I've watched, have been voiceovers.
Yeah.
You do come on camera sometimes, but it's not a lot. Most of your content is with you doing voiceovers. Why is that? Why do we not see Michael Fisher more in real time on camera during your content, your videos?
It's a matter of approach. I think if you talk to most, and tell me if you use this technique, because I know you're on camera for like most of your coverage, almost all of it, right?
Right.
And I think if you talk to most people who deliver content in that style, they will say that their workflow is like, I'm going to outline bullet points and I'm going to talk around, I'm going to kind of improvise around them so that I can stay natural.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So almost everyone I've talked to who's primarily A-roll says that. And for me, I can do that. I don't like doing that. It's kind of stresses me out while I'm doing it. There's a lot of wasted time as I botch takes, but more crucially, I find that I say things that aren't entirely correct. And remember, I'm talking about me. I'm not saying anybody else does. It's just me. And I will let those things slide either because I'm at a trade show and there's no time for a retake. We just have to go and we'll correct it in the description or whatever, or I'm just out of time, or I don't notice it until later. With VO, I can write the whole script ahead of time, and then I can go shoot all the B-roll I need. And during the shooting process, I can refine the script and I can fix the things I got wrong. And then when I record it in the sound booth, I can fix more things I got wrong as I read them. Then when I'm editing the VO, I can fix more things I got wrong. And then when I edit the video, I can finally put a polish on it and take out things that I don't. So the short answer is it provides more opportunity for me to get things right and be precise. And I put more value on that than putting my talking face on screen for more people to see. Now, that said, I have heard people, it gets boring. People want to see different stuff. They want to see you adapt and stuff, and they want to see your face more. So I have been adding more A-roll in, and that will continue in 2020, even though it takes longer and is harder. and the audio is mismatched and not not as good as the booth. But that's what people want, so that's what I'm going to give them.
Now that's very interesting for me to hear you say because you used to be an actual actor.
Yeah, that's true. But when you're an actor, most of the time you're memorizing a script.
Right.
I could memorize one of my own scripts, but first of all, it takes forever. Unless you're in theater, you go through, you botch a lot of takes. It takes a lot of time. And when you're writing your own copy and you can change it dynamically because, oh, you screwed something up or you want to clarify something or the facts have changed, it's just easier to do VO. It's faster. And when you're only kicking out 1 or 2 videos a week because of your existing production pipeline being so complicated, that matters. Any little bit of efficiency or increased accuracy you can get, if you're me, you'd take it.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. It's funny because I never really thought about it that way in terms of you being able to rewrite or refine your script as you look at the B-roll that you took. Because, like you said, you could write a script and you could think that script is good for what you need, but then when you put your B-roll on the timeline and see what's going on, then like you said, you could refine your script right then on there and then go from there. And I never really thought
Right.
about it like that.
Right. Or like, yeah, you're like shooting your B-roll and the phone does something unexpected in your hand while you're shooting, and then you can come back and edit the VO and say like, yeah, look, this is a good example of this. But if I was set up to do A-roll, I could just say right that it would already be in the can. It's just like I'm using the phone. Oh, you see that? Yeah, it's screwed up. See, that's what I'm talking about. And then you move on. So yeah, it's always a compromise. It's always a give and take, but it's just the way my approach has evolved. That's all.
Well, I am not here to complain about your approach because your approach has been amazing for a long time.
Thanks, man.
How long have you been doing YouTube videos now?
For tech, since 2012.
Okay.
But I started my first YouTube channel in 2006
That's
with my
right.
dad.
With your dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that video's still alive. That channel's still alive. Actually, we're about to hit a rather large milestone tonight, I think. I will look that up because I don't remember the exact number. But that channel's still very much alive, and we're still making about 1 video a year, which, breaks all the rules of being successful on YouTube, but we have a large backlog that's somewhat evergreen. So, what about you?
Speaking what about me?
Yeah, what about you? How long when did you start again?
Oh, I started January 1st, 2018. So I'm in year 2 or year 3 actually, I guess now.
Man, you got the whole ride ahead of you. I'm envious. It's gonna be fun.
I'm
You got
trying, man. I've been
you
a little frustrated because I feel like the channel growth has been kind of slow, but I'm sticking with it. I've made the decision this year to kind of niche down into more Apple centric content so I can give the algorithm a little bit more to work with. I'm gonna do that for the entire year and see how that goes, and then we'll just go from there.
Cool.
But yeah.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to change gears if in a year is a long time to do an experiment, right? So
Hmm.
I feel like if in 6 months you see that that you're not trending the way you want to, maybe just give yourself permission to try new things. That's what at the Westworld dinner, I got that piece of advice, and I was like, I'm gonna keep that in mind.
It's just so frustrating with YouTube because the algorithm expects you to do one thing over and over and over again. And I'm a lot like yourself. I like to cover all the tech. I love Apple products, but I don't only want to cover just Apple. I want to cover Apple, Samsung, Google, all the tech. But
Definitely.
when you do that on YouTube, the algorithm just does not like it. And
Yeah.
like, ugh.
Yeah, thankfully, I think there's been a trend recently because it's same thing with me, man. Like I love my phones,
Hmm.
but recently you've noticed maybe that I've done a lot more smartwatch videos, a lot more
Right.
laptop videos, and car videos even. And formerly, the algorithm would punish you. It's like, look, this doesn't look like a OnePlus whatever T versus Galaxy Note whatever comparison. Get out of here. But now, it's the algorithm seems to be prioritizing views, um, aggregate views on videos, and taking that into account in a much heavier way than it did before, when it makes the decision whether to recommend the video to others. So as long as you make a good video and it gets put in front of the right audience at first and gets that growth that it needs, that's what's more important than style consistency. It seems. I don't know. That's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah, it changes all the time. So who knows?
Yeah, exactly right. It's a black box that we all have to deal with, and just
Basically. So speaking of milestones, you're going to hit one this year on Mr. Mobile. You're going to hit 1 million subscribers at some point this year. Do you got any big plan for that?
sure hope I'm gonna hit 1 million subscribers at some point this year. I think I said that last year too. It's a problem, because you're talking about slow growth, man. I feel it.
I think you're going to hit 1 million this year.
I think so too. One of the things that you know what it's like. It feels like a hamster wheel. You've got to be constantly creating videos, and if you're
Yep.
not, you slow growth. One of the things I did last year was like, listen, we have to make money. The channel has this runway. We know we needed to make money by a certain point. So I started, a lot of my time went into Instagram and building sponsored content and stuff that goes inside the YouTube videos. So this year, I'm gonna get more of the focus back on the YouTube channel, get a couple more people in to help me. I'm very excited because 1 million is all I need. That's all I care about. It doesn't if it ever goes above 1 million, I'm like, fine. That's just, because that's me. That's what I wanted. But you have a 100,000 subscriber goal by the end of
Yes,
2020, isn't that right?
that's the goal. Yes.
Oh man, there's no way you can't hit that. Look, I love watching every single time I tune into your video and you start yelling at me through the computer screen. I'm stoked. I'm just like, I don't care what he's talking about. I just want to hear more. I'm just amped about whatever he's talking about.
I appreciate you, man. Like I said, I mean, for me personally, though, I think the 100,000 number, I mean, that's the number, but I think for me, it's more about the things that I need to do to even get close to sniffing that goal. Cause it's kind of I mean, for most people, it's kind of unrealistic. I mean, I'm at a little over 3,000 now, and I'm trying to get to a 100,000 by the end of the year. So it's kind of unrealistic, but for me, I don't care. I'm going to go for it anyway. And if I have a strategy of what I want to do to try to get there. And I feel like if I follow the strategy, no matter where I'm at the end of the year, I will have produced a desirable result. So that's what I'm trying to go after.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, there's no substitute for just sitting down and doing the work. It's
Yep.
always nice when you stumble into that one video that you're like, oh, wow, somehow no one ever thought of this, or no one ever did it this way, or, oh my God, a Pixel 7 fell off the back of a truck and I found it on the sidewalk. Whatever that is, it's always nice when you're like, oh, wow, this video got 2 billion views and now I have this thing. But that's very rare. And also, there's just no substitute for that constant, determined work of getting better and delivering consistently. And, it takes forever. But when it finally does bite in and grab some traction, it's really rewarding. And if nothing else, it's really rewarding for you. Like, dude, on that Rapid Nadion channel that my dad and I run, which
Mhm.
is, by the way, about to hit 100 million lifetime views. I think that's what the threshold is
Oh,
tonight.
wow.
So I'm like, whoa, my God, that's awesome. My dad's really stoked about it, which I'm very happy about.
Hmm.
Dude, there are videos on there that they took forever to make, and they have gotten no views. And they feature some of the most beautiful hand-built scale models you've ever seen, I've ever seen. And it's heartbreaking that only 10,000 people watch them when uh, millions of people watch a sinking model Titanic video. But man, every time I watch those videos, I'm like, I'm very proud we did this. I'm very proud of this work.
I think
And it's not all that matters, but that's what matters most, isn't it?
that's the main thing. No matter how many views you get on a video, as long as you enjoy creating the content that you put out, I think that is what gets us through. That's what matters.
That's right. There's nothing matters more than being proud of something that you built. That's what we're doing. We're building entertainment content. We're building self-expression. We're building creative content, and it's just great when your sign falls off the damn thing and interrupts and otherwise. Well, that's okay. That sentence, I didn't know where that was going anyway.
Random moments on the podcast.
A-roll.
A-roll. There you go, man.
Shit.
Oh my goodness. So I know we gotta let you go here in a few minutes. So
true, yeah.
There are a lot of creators that watch my content and my live stream. So besides the advice that you left me earlier about not being afraid to pivot if you need to, any other advice for up and coming creators, man, before we get out of here?
Yeah. It's tough because it's really broad, right? People ask questions and it's like a specific feedback, but really, it can be really. It's a trap that I've fallen into often. I've had to train myself out of, where it's like there are two traps. One of them is, wow, this isn't working. It's not up to my standards. It's not, I don't particularly like it. I don't want to publish it. And you fall into this thing of like, well, suddenly you haven't published anything in days or weeks because it's not quite good enough. Do the work. It's not always going to be perfect. Put it out, learn from it. evolve, but keep doing the work. There's no substitute for that. Also, though, this is the other thing. I'm in the middle of what I call an admin week, which I've been planning to do for literally 4 years. Take a week off, don't produce any video, do all of this backlogged stuff that needs to get done in the background. And that break, I can't tell you how important it is. It's not a vacation. I'm still working on the channel.
Right.
But I'm building stuff to support future growth. And I'm giving that part of my brain that would normally be cranking out 3 scripts, I'm just letting it recharge. And it's crucial to do that. Don't fall prey to this hustle porn culture that we have now, where it's like, oh, it's Christmas Eve at 2 a.m. If you're not working, you're not taking this seriously, and get out. That's bullshit. And you need to take care of yourself as a human. Otherwise, there's just going to be you're going to be a shell of yourself. When you finally do roll up to your mic and your camera and try and shoot something, it's not going to be worth anything. You got to take care of yourself. Do hard work, but take care of yourself at the same time. It's
like they say, work smarter, not harder, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's someone has yet to come up with a phrase that better encapsulates that thought. So sure, we'll use that for now.
Oh man, it has been a blast talking to you. I know you said you're pretty much booked through the rest of 2020, but if you ever plan on taking another admin week, or you have another 30 minutes or half an hour from me, man, I'd love to have you back on.
Absolutely, man. No, thank you for having me on, and I appreciate you asking me back, because I know I've been tough to pin down, and you know how it is.
You are definitely tough. I appreciate you getting back to me in the Twitter DM, man. I know how you guys stay busy, and I appreciate you.
Man. No, and keep it up, and I'm rooting for you on that goal. But as you say, you've got the plan in place, man. All the growth you get is going to be well earned. So I look forward to seeing what it is. And good luck on the Verizon thing too.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. For those of you all watching in the YouTube live stream, thank you for joining us tonight. For those of you all that super chatted, I appreciate the contribution. Thank you so much. For those of you all listening on audio only, thank you. I appreciate it. If you want to support the podcast, there will be links in the show notes for you to do that. As far as Mr. Mobile's information, it will be in the show notes and the description of this live stream. If you watch it on YouTube or audio only, it will be in the show notes. So definitely go check out Mr. Mobile and what he's doing, because he's one of the true professionals of the tech space, and love talking to him, man. But that is going to be it for VypDrive episode 54. I will be back next week with another episode. But until the next time, people, this your boy Viper, the man about tech. You know where to find me. So come back for more.